All right. So people are watching now. Okay.
Hello, people.
All right. So we're recording.
Now I'm paralyzed. I'm paralyzed with fear.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead. You can share the Hangout on Air thing from my screen.
All right, I'll do that. Just because. Why not?
Because sharing is caring.
That's right. I'll do it on the Art Zen thing. And then, yeah. And I'll do mine.
Alrighty then. Alright, let's give these people who may or may not be watching something interesting to listen to.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Cool. Yeah. Usually we have we like write down a rundown, but because of this special occasion,
We have no rundown. We're flying blind on this.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna
we're ad-libbing.
We're ad-libbing. We're gonna look like morons. I'm pretty sure. That's okay. All right. So I'll have our little intro, and then I'll introduce you, Cliff.
Alrighty.
So even though people can see you.
Should probably let the viewers know that this is actually your guys' show. I'm the guest, even though it's on my profile.
Yeah, that's true. This is the Art Zen Podcast, artzenpodcast.com. You can check us out there. We're on iTunes if anyone's listening anyway. Yeah, we're just using your on-air on-air thing because you have it and we don't.
It feels so used.
I know. Used or needed. See this?
We're using your celebrity to excel our celebrity, wannabe celebrity.
In fact, I do have something I'm willing, or there's something I need to sell to you and your audience, Cliff. It's full-term life insurance. So no, I'm kidding. All right, I guess we'll start this thing. Welcome to the Art Zen Podcast, the podcast dedicated to art and design in and around the internet. My name is Daryl, and with me, as always, is my co-host Thomas.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going. How are you doing?
Okay, it's been a better week than the last couple of weeks, but it's good.
Well, that's good. Yeah, because I know you've had like 2 hellish weeks.
Well, this week, though, to add to the insanity that's been going on, my fiance got into a wreck. So
nice. That's
awesome.
Awesome.
So it was first Xbox hacked, then my windshield blows out in the back, and now the snow and stuff. But now my fiance got hit by a car at a stoplight, and so I don't know. I don't know what's going to be in store next week.
Well, let's I don't know. Let's make some wagers. Are we talking about like hitting by lightning or?
I don't know. There was the solar flares thing. I was sure that something was going to happen with that. So. Yeah.
You know what happened with that? My cell phone dropped a call. That's pretty much.
That was it.
That was it.
Wow.
And I can't really blame the solar flare because I have AT&T, so it's possible that it was just AT&T.
Just AT&T. Well, I was kind of disappointed. I expected Fully to wake up with some sort of superpower thing, or at least be like my body be turned to stone or something, and I got squat. Nothing.
Yeah. I got a little rash on my forearm. That's about it.
That's it.
So.
Sure, that wasn't something else other than the solar flare.
It could be. I don't know. Anyway. Well,
moving on.
Weird rashes in weird places. No. Yeah, if you're listening, well, you're probably listening to us, because if you're not listening to us, then I don't know, telepathy, something, whatever. Well, we may sound a little bit weird, and mainly that's because we're actually doing this on a Google Plus Hangout on air with our very special guest, Cliff Roth.
How's it going?
Woo!
All right.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure's all mine. And not Thomas's, just mine, of course. But, yeah, of course. I know we've been talking about doing this for quite a while.
Oh, it's been a while. months, half a year.
Months. Yeah. I'm just so
I
bad.
know you guys were specifically waiting until I had broadcast capabilities, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, we're nothing if not using of other people, and I'm actually, I don't know if you know this, but I'm actually using my neighbor's Wi-Fi to do all our shows. So, I mean, like you said earlier, it's about sharing. Sharing is
Indeed.
Caring. Whether they know it or not, that's a different story. But anyway, so a lot of people may not know who you are, but actually that's probably an understatement. Probably millions of people know who you are through Google Plus.
Me?
Yeah.
Nobody knows who I am.
Oh, of course.
Peon.
So give us a little background on yourself, Cliff.
Well, right now, in the background, I have a wall. I got some books. I got some paint.
Really?
The camera was facing the other direction. There's a whole shitload of kids' toys.
We love those kids' toys. That's what. No.
I don't know.
So
anything specific you want to know? Background.
Well, how long have you been doing?
Like 30 years worth. How much time do we got?
Yeah.
How long have you been? Are you a professional artist right now? I mean, is this your gig is on?
It depends on what you mean by professional. If you mean professional, as in, do I get paid? Yes, for some. I mean, I do take commissions. If you mean professional, as if, do I need an alternative source of income? In that case, most definitely yes. Now, this is, yeah, I do work at a non-art related job for a living.
Oh, we'll see.
So I mean. So it's really all a matter of perspective, and if the IRS is watching, this is definitely a hobby.
Yeah, of course.
Well, of course. I mean, that's what we all. It's all a hobby for all of us, right?
Yeah. I don't make art to make money. I need money to make more art.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm always searching Groupon for those art supply deals. In fact, I got 2 in my Groupon thing, just so I can go down and just stock up on art supplies,
right.
Which I use not to make art as much as I'd like. But oh well.
I love getting a bunch of art supplies. It's funny. A couple years ago, I ended up giving a ton of art supplies away because. Many years ago, I had bought a whole crap load of art supplies. I bought oil sets and acrylic sets and watercolor paints and, just in case the creative spark hit me, I wanted to make sure I was capable in well, not capable, but supplied in any medium. I wouldn't say capable because that would involve like opening the packages and using the paint, which I never did. So I had these drawers filled with art supplies and paint and this and that and. I have kids running around all over the place. I never really had, the space or the time to be able to actually use paints because they just take them and I'd have paint all over the place. And which, if I wasn't renting, wouldn't be much of a problem, but I am. So I ended up, I'm like, listen, I'm not using these supplies. I go to this life drawing class. Some of these other artists can use them. So I ended up giving them all away. Now, however, now that I have a little bit more time and audience, a reason to actually start painting again, now it's like, all right, now I need my supplies.
Yeah. You should go back and say, do you still have those supplies that I gave you?
Right, so now I'm getting some more.
Awesome. So do you, I know you do a lot of stuff digitally. Do you kind of work in both digitally and traditionally, or?
Well, up until this past year, most of my actual commissions were in traditional medium, either pencil, charcoal, or colored pencil, because that was the stuff most people actually saw, because I make it a habit of doing artwork in public places because, word of mouth is the best advertising there is. So I would purposely, like, the last phase of a fully rendered portrait in colored pencil, I would take forever to do that, and I would make sure I'd do it at the diner or some other public place for people to walk by and see an almost finished work, because that's more impressive than the scratches that come beforehand. So beforehand, most of my commissions were charcoal, pencil, colored pencil. It wasn't up until really the advent of social media where I started selling the digital stuff more.
So, I don't know how to really frame this. So is that where the bulk of your commissions came from? Is just people would see you working out in public and then...
Originally, yes. I would also, not only just in public places, but also like at the cafeteria at my job. But like that would be where a lot of it came from, because those are people who knew me, knew where I was. So a lot of commissions came that way. At one point, I was doing like a lot of tattoo designs too, but I tended to shy away from that since I don't do tattoo work itself. Since I'm not the one inking it, I truthfully believe the artist who's going to ink it should be the one drawing it. There are times where I've acted sort of like a go-between, where you don't know how to explain yourself exactly. So I'd give like the rough draft, rough idea to get your idea out on paper, so you're not flying blind when you go to the tattoo artist. But I'm not going to pretend I know what colors can be inked and what can't, because it's a completely different art form that I know.
Definitely.
But yeah, that's how it was beforehand. Nowadays, and Facebook a little bit, I got a few commissions through there, but then the advent of Google Plus, I mean, it's just, it's like I get my groove. I found out, all right, this is what's going to work, and it's like, I've been on Twitter, and I myself was never all that successful at it because I was never fully committed. It's one of those things you get or you can't fake it.
Yeah.
And I think I was kind of like faking it. Like, all right, there's, I know people who've been successful on Twitter. Let me try Twitter and see if I can be successful too. But since I didn't get it, I didn't feel it. It wasn't natural to me. It shows. And I mean, you gotta, if you're not actually part of it, you don't feel it. That shows, and it's not going to work. And I think a lot of businesses fall into that trap because they're like, holy crap, there's all these customers there. Let's get involved there. But they have no clue what they're doing. Because they're doing it because they're tacking it on because they see eyeballs going there. So it's an afterthought. And if it's an afterthought, that shows. Whereas with Facebook, I was successful to a certain extent, but the way Facebook is set up, it's not really set up as well to share in the same manner that Google Plus is. Google Plus is far superior in that respect for that. There are some things FB does do a little bit better, but so I'm not like one of those people who are like, oh, Facebook's so bad. You gotta go. No. To me, there's nothing wrong with dual citizenship.
You gotta go to that Facebook. It's the terrible thing.
Oh man, it's just so terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the stuff that I see posted over and over again, I see the exact same posts on the other sites. I mean, it's like there's no, they say the content is so much more highbrow here, and to a certain extent, in some cases, depending on who you're following, it might be.
Yeah.
I don't think it's more highbrow or lowbrow. I think it's just more accessible. It's easier. The format makes it easier to access. There's easier access to it.
Yeah, I'll agree there.
And I think that's what makes this forum far superior, and it levels the playing field so much more. Whereas there, it's more of a closed system since they do have that reciprocal relationship. I mean, it's changed slightly now that you can subscribe, but that's not quite the same thing. Like here, you can directly interact with somebody unless they happen to block you, and most people, I find, don't block you unless you're doing something ridiculously stupid. I mean, unless you're an obvious spam account and you're spamming people. Most people won't block you. However, there are the people. Now, I myself, I love to debate. So I have seen lots of debates where people get pretty heated and then they'll start blocking each other, which is kind of silly. If they're being civil, they're just disagreeing with you. That's a stupid reason to block somebody. I mean, without a dissenting opinion, conversations will be short.
That's true.
Exactly. Wow, that covered a lot of Google Plus for us. Thank you. No, I was going to say that, I mean, that's how I met you, is Google Plus.
Way back near the beginning, too.
Oh, yeah. I somehow got an invite. I don't know how, but I think Google just threw me an invite, so I got on there. And I'm kind of the same way with social media. With Twitter, I'm just sort of saying whatever I want to say, my thoughts, posting some of my pictures, my comics.
Right.
Not that I have an official comic yet, but, it's maybe coming. 3-4 years down the line. Have to keep that off the distance. But yeah, I'm following so many people that, and Thomas and I have discussed this, that a lot of my stuff probably falls away to the sides, and I never get to see much of anything except for the really, popular people like celebrities and stuff that I follow. But you
mean on Twitter or here?
On Twitter.
Twitter.
And then, but on Google Plus, it seems like there's a lot more content I can parse through. It seems easier. I think also because my stream's smaller. I haven't really added too many people too fast. But,
I think part of it is also just the nature of it, since Twitter is all text-based with links. I mean, yeah, you can call up a picture on it, but it's not still the same because you can't see it until you expand it.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's harder at first look to tell what the content is. It's easy to tell who's posting it, but not necessarily what the content itself is. Whereas here, it's almost the exact opposite. It's easier to tell what the content is, and then it's almost an afterthought to see who actually posted it.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So in a world where content is king, that definitely works in Google's favors because you can tell who the content is. I like I said, I only recently started using Twitter again, and for the most part, it's just like I don't know. I see a good chunk of my stream every time I look at it happens to be Guy Kawasaki, simply because he reposts everything.
Yeah.
So it's funny because I happen to look at it almost in 12-hour intervals. It just happens to work that way, and it seems like I just happen to catch the second cycle of him reposting all his posts. So it's pretty funny. I'm like, wait a second, did my not move? I have to actually look at the timestamp because it just happens to be the way he has it set up. So he's probably one of the most vocal people that I happen to follow, which is fine because I actually like a lot of the links. But
yeah.
So yeah, I think his method is actually a very smart one because it gets the message out there. But for me, I don't know. It's just, but like I said before, it's because I'm not actively involved in it, and so I'm not normally seeking out information on it. I don't really like doing searches. I do occasionally, but not much. Not nearly like I would here or Facebook.
Yeah. Personally, I personally like Twitter probably the best out of everything. Just because, like you were saying, I guess I kind of seem to get Twitter, and Twitter's kind of my, 140 characters. I like that because it's short, one-sentence stuff, and I like communicating like that. And there'll be some times when I do a big stream of tweets one right after the other, but that's rare. Right. And not only do I like communicating like that, but I like to get information that way too, because I'm one of those kind of people that if I go to a grocery store, I'm going in for the one or two things I need, and I'm leaving. Unless I got somebody with me.
Actually, when it comes to a grocery store, I'm the exact same way. It's like, all right, that's what I need. That's what I'm getting. I'm zero targeted right there.
Exactly. And so that's what I like about Twitter is because it's kind of like that. But at the same time, it's like you said, it moves really fast. There's a lot of ways that companies are trying to manipulate it and trying to...
Yeah, it's not the speed it moves that's, for me, the problem. It's just that, I don't know, I think it's hard to follow the engagement in there because I know there's retweeting, and I know there are conversations taking place. It's just, I think it's just the format itself is just not something I'm used to, which is weird because the only thing I use my phone for is texting. So
yeah, I'll agree. As far as the conversations go, if there are any back and forth kind of things, it does take some actually like scrolling through things and looking. Right. And trying to keep, depending on how many people you follow, and trying to keep up on stuff.
It's funny right now. Like I'm not really following that many people at the moment. I think at the moment I'm following 82.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not really following that many people on there.
Yeah, once you get over 100, I've noticed that your stream starts to, like Daryl said, gets populated by like the handful of most popular people, and then everybody else, you just kind of forget that you're even following them, unless you happen to look at your follow thing. And I don't know if there's a way to address that or fix it or whatever, because the system can only move so fast. I would imagine, and they can only send so many tweets out at once. They can't send two, million to one stream at one time.
Otherwise,
although I don't think you can read all that.
I think a similar problem sort of started to happen with Facebook, really, because since Facebook decides for itself what it thinks you're going to think is important, I find that annoying. So I was missing all this stuff that was important. In fact, my wife was just telling me the other day that she had completely missed it. But she was offering something up for, like, one of her used college math books for sale, and nobody was responding as far as she could tell. Turns out it was in the other folder in the mail because Facebook decided what was worth her seeing. So she missed out on selling something. Yeah, it's their design, and every time they make a stupid change, it's like, Jesus Christ.
I agree with that.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff they do, I think, is just silly. Like, I still get a ton of game notifications. I've turned them off a bazillion times. I've made several status updates saying, listen, people, I don't play games and haven't in a while. I am a recovering Farmville addict, but God, I can't even believe I was one of those people.
Yeah.
That was
I can't believe you were one of those.
Yeah. Yeah. That was my competitive nature kicking in. See, when I first saw Farmville and I saw some of my friends playing it, I looked at them square in the eye and said, that is ridiculously stupid. Then my wife happened to, said that some of her friends had, tried it, so she was going to see what it was like. Then competitive nature kicked in. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to kick your farm's ass.
Yeah.
and then I started playing, and I'm like, oh no. And then my addictive nature poured in. And I'm like, oh no, it's Evercrack all over again.
Yeah.
Must feed those cows. And then at a certain point, I'm just like, holy crap, what the hell am I doing? I'm like going by, like, moving these pixels to that pixels, waiting until I can do this. I'm like, that's stupid. Also, the farm can look a certain way. I could paint it whatever the hell way I want, At a certain point, reality kicked in. I'm like, what the hell am I doing?
9 months later, you're in the back.
And then I completely broke the addiction cold turkey. And that was stupid, and I've never looked back. But
yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I saw the potential for me to ruin my life with Farmville, so I was like, no, I'm not, and I will not join your mafia.
It's strange. I would say, yes, that's one I never ever was into at all. I remember when I first got my first invite for Mafia Wars on MySpace, I thought my friend's account got hacked. Because I had never heard of these social games.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I got some requests from so-and-so has requested your. I'm like, what the hell is this crap? So I wrote him. I'm like, I think your account was hacked. He's like, no, you might want to play. I'm like, no, I don't.
Yeah, he's like, no, but can you help me stab this victim to death?
You just have to add. You don't need to play. You just have to add it on.
Yeah.
Oh man,
that's a fun game.
I was one of those annoying people at one point. A brief time, but I was.
Yeah. Well, we all get there at some point. Anyway, yeah. But yeah, I lost my train of thought. I don't know what I was talking about.
Invest in a monorail. They don't go off track so much.
Yeah. Now with the monorail, can you get to farm without getting? No, I'm kidding.
I had a wall of cats on my farm. I'm like, I just was lining the whole thing up with cats for no particular reason, only because I could.
Yeah. And it's funny. A cat wall is
pretty. Oh, yeah, I had a wall of cats. I think one of my walls was filled up with just the little baby calves. So it's like one. They were like guarding people from attacking my farm. It was so stupid. My wife would make it a point every day to go and pet each one of her animals. I'm like, that's so stupid. Just
I do love the kind of human nature of this is stupid, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Exactly. It's so true, though.
It's shameful, but it's funny. Yeah, it's what's amusing.
I can laugh about it now.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those. Can I harvest yet?
Yeah, my mom, she did that some cooking game that was on Facebook, and she would say, "Well, I gotta go cook some food," and then I realized that she was actually just baking. And she'd get up early in the morning and cook food, and I was like, "Are you nuts? What's going on?" And then I realized it was a game, and then at one point she didn't go grocery shopping, but she was cooking food like on a virtual thing, and she realized, okay, I gotta stop this because this is dumb. And she deleted her account, and that was it.
Yeah, at a certain point, I think most of us come to that conclusion, like, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah.
It's like, cause, that's why I know better. I try and stay away from that kind of stuff because I know my addicting personality.
Yeah.
So that's how it was with, I remember Evercrack. Oh man, I was a bad Evercrack addict for a while. And then what had happened was, this was like several computers ago. I mean, I was still on dial-up modem days.
Yeah.
My wife had brought me in an expansion pack that my computer could not handle. It just wasn't fast enough.
Mm-hmm.
And so the game slowed down dramatically, thank the Lord, because then I was able to give it up because it was just like wasn't running properly, and by the time I upgraded my computer, I swore to myself I wasn't going to load the damn thing, which is why I never played World of Warcraft or any of those other games.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a little bit more casual when it comes to MMOs because, I don't know, I just don't have it in me. I know Thomas does, but you have it in you.
Yeah.
I can easily become addicted. Mostly for the same reason that I like it here, because I'm kind of social. It's weird because I'm social, yet at the same time I'm very introverted. So whereas that's why this place is just perfect for that, because here I could be social right now with people, and I could be social with people all over the world. Yet I'm still in my house.
Yeah.
So it's nice because here you have face-to-face conversations, and it's pretty cool. I like this. It's great.
Yeah, and that was one thing I wanted to mention. I mean, I think that's the big thing about Google Plus was the Hangouts. It was the first time that there was like an easy conduit to, hook up and see each other's cameras and see each other's cameras.
Well, see
each other, face to face.
Right. Well, see, it's not the first that's done it, and it isn't.
Oh no.
Yeah, I mean, I was using I used to go to this place called chillstream.org, which is which uses TinyChat. And, they have video conferencing with chat integrated. And that worked pretty good, but there was only a few people who would show up there. The thing that this makes great is it's the network attached to it.
Yeah.
Because, and that's the key. So it's the two together. So, you're hanging out, which in itself is, it's awesome and it's innovative, but it's not the most innovative because there were other formats before it. It's just that tied to a ginormous network of people who wouldn't ordinarily just show up to it. So you meet a more broader spectrum of people, whereas before it was more just that specific people would even know about it in the first place. So you'd be only hanging out with those people who are into that. Whereas here, anything goes because anyone can see it, depending on which ones it is.
Yeah, and I think that's what I meant more is, I mean, I didn't really do any of that kind of hanging out or video chat or anything until Google Plus, because it was just like, oh, click, oh, easy,
Yeah.
I didn't have to seek it out; it was already there. So, and then once I saw one of your Hangouts in which you were doing the caricatures. I can never say that word right, but that's what I'll say.
That sounds pretty good.
Oh, good. Caricatures. Caricature.
That's it.
Okay.
A lot of people
Welcome
pronounce
to
it wrong,
this.
even more spell it wrong.
Yeah, I was trying to spell it, and I was doing something to Thomas. This is a little admitted earlier. And then I said I was going to say something about caricature, and I just deleted it and put draw because I can't. It's a draw. It's whatever. But anyway, I mean, I would see you doing these live painting digitally with people, and that's so fascinating to me that first you get the practice because you can pick from anyone who wants to join,
right?
And then I mean it's almost instantaneous. I mean, you're really good at it. You're really fast at those sketches, and they're really great.
Why,
That's
thank
what
you.
I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Speaking of which, I could do yours right now.
Oh, okay.
Here. What I'll do is I'll screen capture you so that you can continue talking. Hold on, let me get that thing set up. All right. Look towards the camera and then smile. All right, you ready? Perfect. I'll screen share the image that I took so you can approve it before it's done.
Yeah, he got you.
Yeah, I got you. You don't have to keep looking at it. It's all good.
Here I go.
All right, now what I'll do is I'll share it, and then before I start painting, we switch to screen share mode.
Yeah. And for our audio listeners, because I'm going to pull out the audio and put this in a normal stream, I will post pictures of this, but we're probably, yeah, that's a good picture. I like that. I mean, it's me, but apart from me, it's a good picture.
All right, now I'll switch the screen sharing over to the actual painting, which I shall start, and then I'll blue box myself. So the audience out there in audience land, that's you people, if there's anyone actually out there. If there are anybody out there, +1, please, so we know you're watching.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
Yeah, you were mentioning that earlier, that these on-air, it doesn't really show you who's watching, who's doing anything.
I have no way of knowing if anybody's paying attention whatsoever unless they +1 it, or share it, or comment or something. I have no idea.
Do something.
Yeah, it'd be kind of nice if it showed, you know, how many people's watching or something.
Yeah. It seems like, seems like a feature that's missing.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I was going to say is we'll also post not only audio of this, we'll also post the link to the video. I'll probably do an edited version of this, just so, you know, if this runs long or whatever. I don't know. I have a lot of time. I don't know about you, but we usually like to keep it about an hour.
Well, yeah, as long as we, an hour's fine. As long as we don't extend past the 2-hour mark, we're fine. Because anything past it, then I can't edit it down.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, because anything after, I think it's after 2 hours, then I have to actually download the whole thing onto my computer and then edit and re-upload. Whereas if it's under 2 hours, I could edit it right in YouTube.
Oh, that's
cool.
So I just want to put this out there for anybody at Google that's listening. Yeah, you should give Art Zen this capability, Art Zen Podcast, because I would like to play with the on-air stuff.
So,
by the way, I'd like to say hello to Cliff Baldrige, Anthony Feliciano, and Travis Owens, all who +1 this. So, thank you.
Wow, all right. So
and hold on, I forgot on the original share, Jim Huntsman.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and Travis again, so.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. We have a few watchers. Woo!
I feel self-conscious now.
So, all right. So I'm gonna get my picture drawn.
Alrighty. So what I'll do now is I'll switch over to the screen sharing. I'll blue box myself. Yeah, that's the other thing is now that I have the on-air, that's why I screen capture now, so I can blue box myself so that the audience can see the painting. Because before, in one of the first ones I did for like a good bulk of the beginning of it, I had the personalized painting blue box because that's what I was looking at. Meanwhile, the audience wanted to see the painting, so live and learn. And it was interesting because I had it screen captured in the first place, so I wasn't actually looking at the live feed necessarily for the painting. So there we go. So that's the textured surface I shall start painting on.
Cool. So where do you get these textures? Do you make them or?
Well, I had made this from. Let's see, let me find where my windows went. One of my kids must have screwed around with my settings. Hold on a second. My layers palette disappeared. There it is. Fine.
Wait a minute. This is a PC, not a Mac. Yeah.
Oh no, this one's a Mac.
See, that's what I gotta find myself a Mac because I've always been a PC guy.
Me too.
Me
too. I was always a PC guy, except for I had burnt through a couple Dell hard drives. Well, the last one I didn't burn through. What had happened was, it got a bad case of the viruses.
Oh,
and yeah, it went beyond repair. I was able to recoup a lot of the pictures that were stored on it, but that was about it. I mean, it was a goner. But a good portion of what happened to my PCs was death by Dust Bunny, which was my own fault. Because of where my computer was stored, and the fans were towards the back, and it was not a good situation. I was never diligent about cleaning them. So death by Dust Bunny, which was my fault, and I take full responsibility for that. One of the things I really like about the iMac is that there is no tower, so it's like there's no worry about that.
Yeah.
And I've only heard recently, I didn't even know that PCs even come like that. But now they do. I guess they do have computers that are right in the monitor.
Yeah, I think
a few of them. My mom got what is it? An Asus, I think, touchscreen one. It's like a laptop basically, but it's just a one big monitor.
Right.
So anyway.
That's cool.
So this is going to be really compelling for the audio listeners because there'll be a lot of silence.
Yeah.
We're amazed.
Silence. No, there doesn't need to be any silence. We can talk. I don't mind talking. In fact, I prefer it. Or, I mean, I prefer you people talking. I don't necessarily need to talk myself.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's been a while back. Did you do a Kickstarter to...
I did.
Get equipment and stuff like that?
Yeah, I held a successful Kickstarter campaign. Thank you to all of you out there who pledged to it.
Yay.
Yes, and with that money, I got a MacBook Pro for my wife, without which there's no way I'd be doing any of this because she's been going to school online. So if we didn't get some sort of second computer, she would be monopolizing this almost 24/7, so I wouldn't be doing anything. Because, at the end of the day, her going to school for nursing is far more important to me than fiddling around on this in the long term.
Right.
Because, eventually that'll enable us to get somebody else with full-time employment who has benefits, and that way I can concentrate on this longer term. So I was prepared to take a short-term hit for the long-term gain. But thankfully, my Kickstarter campaign was successful, so that wasn't necessary. Because that would have been, talk about bad timing, that would have been having to have very, very limited computer time just when I had finally found the medium that I was going to be exploding in.
Right.
So that would have been a really bad time, but thankfully, since I did find the medium, I was able to have a successful Kickstarter campaign. So yeah, that went well. In addition to the MacBook Pro, I got a Logitech C910 camera, which I'm using. That's the camera I was using before. Otherwise, I would have been just the iMac cam. You would have just saw the front of my head, or more likely my forehead, because normally I'm bending down working my artwork.
Yeah.
So you would just see my forehead, which is why most of the time up until I got that C910, I'd only broadcast my screen because there wasn't much point in broadcasting much else.
That's the webcam I have too. Is it the widescreen one?
Yeah, I think so.
It's kind of wide looking, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of wide looking. It has those cool blue little things on the side.
Yeah. Wow. Talk about awesome.
Yeah, I love my Logitech. It's a great product.
So before you launched that Kickstarter program, or that Kickstarter thing, did you already have a pretty loyal following of people that you kind of gauge might support you on it, or were you just kind of open?
A little bit, yeah. I had enough of a following where I thought it was possibly feasible.
Mm-hmm.
I still wasn't sure if it was. I really honestly had no idea whether it was going to be successful or not. I had no clue. I was actually very doubtful.
So did you tell like pretty quick that it was going to be successful, or was it like right down to the last day you were like, oh?
It was about a week in advance. I think a week before the end where I had hit the mark I needed to hit.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So I mean, a couple things were happening around the same time that they kind of just all coincided together. Because I remember when I had decided that I was going to do a long-form speed paint hangout to generate interest, which I had dubbed the Cliffathon. And that was back, God, what was it, September?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And so anyway, back then, somebody hit, Cam Meadows happened to contact me, and he's like, listen, I been seeing your stuff all over my stream. I was wondering if I could broadcast your Cliffathon on a Hangout party. I'm like, sure. Certainly not going to turn down free publicity, but I was kind of surprised because I had known Cam from the Hangout concerts before that I've seen, like Daria's and whatnot. So, yeah, that kind of surprised me because I wasn't prepared for that. I was not prepared for the positive reaction in any way, shape, or form. It took me very much by surprise.
Wow.
So that part of it, like, because, you know, like, people are all of a sudden asking for interviews. I'm like, interviews? What the hell? I just do crap. What the hell are you talking about interviews for? So I think a lot of that also had to do with timing. It all came down to timing because it wasn't publicly accessible yet, and I was one of the first few who were using it in this manner. Mm-hmm. So at the time there was not so much content as far as, you know, Hangouts go that were drastically different than what anybody else was doing.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think I benefited from it being so new. There was like no one else doing anything similar.
Yeah, I remember when I got involved with the Google Plus, Daryl invited me, and it was pretty early on after, you know, everybody got their, you know, started getting their invites and stuff like that, and it was pretty early on. And you were one of the first people that I saw that were doing, like you said, doing stuff like this, and as frequently as you were, because it seemed like every time I would check the feed, and I'm one of those kind of people that's like, every 5 minutes I'm looking in my Twitter, I'm looking on my Google Plus, I'm looking on just to see what's changed. And it seemed like every time I would check it, you had something new, and I was like, wow, man.
Oh yeah, this I'm one of the same type people. It's like refresh. All right, what's new?
Yeah.
What's going on? I would like obsessively look at the red shiny box. Numbers on there, click on it, let's see what's new. I would. For a while, I was very obsessive with it. Now, not quite as much. I mean, I do keep updated with it when I'm around, but I'm not quite as obsessive about it as I was. Because once I realized that a lot of the notifications aren't actionable in the first place.
Yeah.
But so yeah. So at the beginning, since it wasn't quite being used in that context in any way, shape, or form, I got a huge benefit simply based on timing.
Yeah.
So and willingness to take advantage of that. So it was a huge timing thing, and I'm very grateful for that. But that's what it was. It was timing. I think if it had already been public and already been that, and there was already that much competition here, I don't think I'd be nearly in this similar position as I am today.
Yeah, that seems to be the key to all this media stuff, social stuff. Anyway, it's just timing.
Right.
Because I tend to come in later when
and
everyone
that's the funny part is that I would describe myself as a reluctant early adopter. You know, it's like
I'm the same. Yeah.
Yeah, I would not say that I am an early adopter who always goes out and tries new things, because I don't. Mm-hmm. Actually, I typically have a negative I have a typical reaction of a negative first reaction. No matter what the subject is, no matter how much I eventually move on to fully support things, my natural inclination is rejection. No matter what it is, I will instinctively reject almost anything new. Which is weird because I end up adopting so much of it shortly thereafter, I just get over that really fast because I know it about myself. I know I reject things early offhand. But since I know that about myself, I can adapt accordingly. So since I do know that about myself, I'm like, all right, maybe I should just give it a try. Because I remember when I first got my invite here, it was like the second time I had heard of it. I think what happened was Facebook made another one of their stupid changes. I don't even remember what it was at the time. I think it was shortly after they had combined their chat notifications with their regular messaging system, which I really used to love. I used to love Facebook's messaging interface, and their chat was completely separate. Once they integrated those two, it became ridiculously annoying. I hated it. It was. I still to this day don't like that.
Yeah.
So, and I think I had made a status update complaining about that. I think it was just like, dear Facebook, blah blah blah. This new change is ridiculously stupid. And then somebody said, well, you could always go join Google+. And my reaction was that, well, what the hell is Google+? I had never heard of it. I had never heard anything about it. Nothing. It was probably only like the second day it even existed, I think. I don't know. It was very, very early.
Yeah.
And so somebody explained, it's Google's new social network. I'm like, what the hell do I need another social network for? I was definitely... And then, then I heard from a separate group of people who were art friends of mine who are part of the World Artist Network, which is a group that I have known since the early MySpace days. Because at one point it was due to a technical glitch, happened to be the largest group on MySpace, and it used to be an extremely active group. I mean, posts would last like a second. It would be very fast, and it was known for a lot of I wouldn't say harsh critiquing, but honest critiquing. I mean, that was a place to go to get really good feedback if people were able to see your posts, because it would varied a lot. And some great artists have come out of that, like one whose work you've probably seen a lot recently is Terry Border, who does bent objects. And I'm almost positive you've seen his image. He usually does stuff with fruit and wire and lots of different... he has a very twisted sense of humor. And I'm almost positive you've seen his work in the streams or on Facebook streams, but because his work is floated around us, but I've seen it here lots of times in the What's Hot list and What's Not, even though it's usually not posted by him when it shows up in What's Hot. It's just his imagery. So he was one from that group, and a lot of them I still keep in contact with. Well, in the forums on Facebook, they had mentioned, somebody was like, oh, any of you on Google+, I got some invites or whatnot. And, me, it's funny, I'll try something almost with the specific purpose of saying, just so I could, judge whether or not it's stupid. It's like, I'll start it with defense, because I don't like calling something stupid without trying it. I don't want, so... I was of the who needs another social network mindset. I fully admit that I was. And at the same time period, I was doing video chatting through the other site or whatnot that I had mentioned earlier. So I was doing video chatting. I was sharing artwork that way, but it was to a very, very limited audience. I had tried sharing that and trying getting some of the Facebook people over there, but I wasn't gaining any traction whatsoever. So I tried it, and so I went through and I started circling anybody I could see who looked like they were even remotely art related, just to fill my stream up.
Yeah, I did the same.
And then I would take the people who looked like they were art related, and then I would look through who had circled them, and I'd fill my stream up that way. And then after that, people started circling back, and it's like that's the way the snowball started.
Yeah.
And so then I got into a Hangout. I saw the Hangout feature. I'm like, well, I'm already video chatting anyway. Let's try this out. And I like the format a little bit better. So one of the first few Hangouts I was in was with the people who invited me here, that art group. And, you know, out of boredom, I was sharing my screen at the time. I was way not comfortable with showing my screen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just sharing my screen, and so I'm like, just offhandedly, you know, they had a clear camera. I'm like, let me try painting them. You know, let's just see how long it takes him to catch on to the fact that I'm drawing him. You know, because I was sharing my desktop, and so they show up, you know, it was just a blank white canvas, or a gray canvas, as it were, and I just started painting. I just, you know, and after a few seconds, you know, it didn't take long for them to catch on to what was going on. And so, yeah, then, you know, so I painted that one, and to this day, he still uses it as his profile image.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And whenever he pops into any of my Hangouts, he has a troll mentality. He is a very troll-like, Zach, yeah, I'm talking to you. And it's funny, he makes it a habit of telling everybody, I got him on Google+, I got him on Google+, I'm the first one he speed painted, I'm responsible for everything. He's so funny. But it's weird because while that is true, that was my first painting I did of somebody in a Hangout. That wasn't really the inspiration for doing the speed paint Hangouts at all. It was just part of it. The true inspiration from it was actually from one of the people who were viewing my speed paints that I did of celebrities, which I just pretty much posted the exact same imagery that I already had on my Facebook fan page, which to this day still has less than 700 followers. Oh, whoops, I didn't do that. So, and the comment was, you know, oh, I wish I was a celebrity. So I says, well, why? So you could be painted? And she was like, yes. Yeah. I'm like, well, I'm just doing this for practice. I don't really care who I'm painting. It makes no difference to me. You know, I can paint you, no problem. And so I did. Unfortunately, she couldn't make it into a Hangout because of scheduling conflicts or camera conflicts. I don't remember exactly why. But, let's see.
Yeah, my left eye is just slightly higher. No, I'm kidding.
Well, it's funny. I usually flip them back and forth to try and keep some sort of symmetry going. But anyway, so she couldn't make it into Hangout, but she had, when I started it, I had no clue what I was doing. I had never really done this before other than that joking time, you know, when I was just painting his face. But here I was working from some images she gave me. It wasn't from the Hangout screen at all.
Yeah.
And she had shared that Hangout with her circles, which were way, way bigger than mine. I think they're still way bigger than mine. And all of a sudden there was these people who were popping into my Hangouts who I had no clue who they were. It was really awkward. I'm like, oh crap, I better start performing and do something here because I have no idea what I'm doing. And only recently did I finally, you know, I've hung out with her much more recently, and I did something for her gallery just this past Friday. And I ended up taking that first speed painting I did and fully rendered it, so I just posted that the other day too.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was a very strange, awkward experience because I had done Hangouts before where, you know, there were public Hangouts where I just said I was painting and anybody could join in, but there I was painting other stuff. I was treating it exactly like I was the other video chats that I used to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it was just a strange, strange experience.
So, how many speed paintings have you done? Do you have an accurate count, or because I'm sure it's over hundreds?
Oh, yeah, it's. Hold on a second. The most accurate count I'm going to be able to give you is simply to look it up. Hold on a second. Let's go to the count. According to my here profile, there's 218 photos in my first speed paint Hangout album. A couple of those are duplicates, so it'll be a few less than that. Then, in addition to that, I've done a couple Google Sandbox events 2 for the Americas and 1 for Brazil. So let's see, add that together, there's 12 in one, 11 in another, and then 18 in another one. And then in this year, so far I've done 31.
Wow. So over 300.
Yes, over 300.
Wow.
Wow. You make me look like a slacker, because like I've done over 300 speed paints in 20 hours, and
well, come on now, it's been half a year.
That's true. That's true. So
at least 6 months.
It seems like
30 hours. No.
So I mean, yeah, it seems like it's been so short, and I guess it really has in the great scheme of things. But
so do you do like X amount a day or?
No, not really. It depends on if I'm being paid for them, but most of them I do for free. But if somebody wants to be guaranteed one, then I charge for the guarantee.
Right.
Also, typically the ones that are being paid for, I take a little bit longer because I want to make sure higher quality.
Sure.
But I don't know. Lately, at first, I was doing them faster and then faster. Now I'm starting to slow back down slightly because I want a higher quality product.
Mm-hmm.
It was weird. I go through the phase of being fast, and then I switch back to the other phase of being higher quality and close the gap between the two. So, first I was focusing on quality, then so I was doing half-hour ones. Then I started trying to get that faster and faster, and to see if I could still do the same quality, which I think I was getting the same quality. I think looking through my album, it's going to be kind of hard to tell when I start speeding up.
Mm-hmm.
There are hits and misses throughout the whole thing. So, but that's largely independent of how fast I was actually doing them.
I can tell.
Now I've kind of slowed down a bit to try and go back to the higher mode or the higher quality, and then I'll speed up again to try and bring the fast ones back up. And it's just an endless cycle of speed versus quality as I try and bring them closer together, so that when I'm working on my fully rendered ones, I can bring those to fruition a lot faster.
Right.
Because those typically take anywhere from 10 to 30 hours.
Yeah. Wow.
So how many years have you been painting in general, or drawing
As long as I can remember, I've been drawing or doodling or something. I've been creating in some way, shape, or form as far as I can remember. I had to fill something up with fill my notebooks up with something. Certainly wasn't going to be notes.
Yeah, none of that learning stuff.
No, I almost never took notes in class. I hated it. I would remember far more if I was doodling anyway.
Isn't that weird?
Because my penmanship was crap back then. Because back then, the teachers wanted you to write in cursive, and they wanted you to improve cursive. I think cursive is like the most useless invention ever. I don't understand it. It might have been all right when you're using like a crow quill or a tip pen or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Then I could see some point in that, because you don't want to constantly lift up your pen and then have ink block all over the place. But if you're using a damn pencil and a regular ballpoint pen, cursive is useless nonsense. I hate it. In fact, now when I write, it's funny, when I'm writing with actual pencil and writing, I write all caps. I don't type all caps because I think it's weird, but if I'm actually writing, I write all caps.
Yeah, you too.
I hate writing lowercase letters. I think they're useless.
Yeah, my penmanship's crap, but
see, now I write very neatly. I write ridiculously neatly, and I can do it with either left hand or right hand. But it's because I'm not trying to write cursive anymore.
Yeah, in third grade, for me, we had to learn cursive like you do at school.
Oh yeah.
And then as soon as the teacher said, "All right, now you can do whatever," I switched back back to printing. I'm like, screw that.
Yeah, I much prefer printing any day of the week. It's cursive is nice if you're going to do some fancy writing with it, like calligraphy. Calligraphy is awesome. I love calligraphy, but that's a separate art form. But for everyday general writing and legibility. And to me, writing is all about communicating. You're writing for a purpose. And if your object is to communicate, you should be writing into something that's the most legible, and cursive most certainly is not it. Cursive is barely legible, no matter who's writing it. It's just a crappy, for communication purposes, it's just crap.
Right.
Well, when I was a kid, my penmanship was pretty good in high school and whatnot, but the older I get, the more it gets worse. And I think the reason being is because I get annoyed with things too much, and eventually it's just going to be like I just an X or like just scribble on there. Because right now my signature already is just a series of strategically placed scribbles.
Yeah.
And so eventually I'm just going to get annoyed with it and be like, screw it, and just put an X.
Yeah, exactly.
And just not even write at all.
You know, it's funny. Yeah, that's the only time I actually do use cursive is when I sign my name. But originally I used to sign my artwork like I would sign a check or sign anything else. Now I don't. Now I just put my last name.
Yeah.
But
well, I think typing with
I find myself I write neather with my opposite hand than I do with my regular one.
Because you have to probably, I don't know, I mean, I'm not ambidextrous or anything like that, so I wouldn't really know, but I would think that you would have to concentrate more
Exactly.
on it.
You're exactly right. It's because since my dominant hand, I write without thinking about it, so I'll write much faster and I'll tend to scribble a lot because I'm not actually concentrating on what I'm writing. Whereas, with my other hand, I'm thinking about it a lot more, so yeah, I'll tend to be neater just because I'm paying it more attention. You're exactly right. It's funny because I taught myself how to write with my opposite hand back when I used to do a lot of stippling. So I would do these huge 11 by 14 pen and ink drawings with nothing but stippling the entire picture. Wow. Even if it was like a night guy. And it would take, there was one picture I think it took like 2 years to finish. Because first of all, I only worked on a little bit at a time. And second of all, it was almost entirely stippling. In fact, it was entirely stippling.
Yeah.
And so my wrist naturally started to bother me after a while. And so I'm like, you know what? If something ever happens to my hand, I'm kind of screwed because I kind of depend on it because that's what I do. I better start teaching myself my other hand.
That's funny. Are you left-handed dominant?
No, I am right dominant. It's weird because it depends on the thing because I think I drive lefty. Like if I drive, it's my left hand that's on the wheel. But most things I'm right hand dominant, which is weird because I'm left eye dominant.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's. Do you guys know Aaron Wood at all?
Doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, no.
Well, anyway, he's one of the people who I happened to meet at the New York City Hurl. The girl he was with, she was asking me if I happened to be left dominant because most creatives are, she was saying. And I'm like, no, I'm kind of ambidextrous. She goes, well, which eye are you dominant with? I'm like, I never gave it much thought, truthfully. and so she told me, she goes, what you do is like you hold your hands together, like sort of make a diamond with them, just like a very close diamond, so you can hold them at like arm's length, and then focus on a spot between, through the opening, focus on a spot, a little bit tighter than that, so it's like really small, close together, like there's only a little aperture, and then hold it all the way out at arm's length, focus on something with both eyes out in the distance, and then bring it closer to you. Just bring it close to you slowly, and see which eye it goes to.
It goes to my fourth eye.
Whoa!
It went to like my forehead.
Yeah.
Nice. Your third eye.
Yeah.
And for all our audio listeners, we just did this little exercise where we put our hands out and brought
that was funny watching you guys do that.
Yeah. The video should be great.
Yeah.
Oh man, that
At this
was
point,
awesome. But
at this point, you could tell us to jump on one foot, and we'll probably do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I did it, and it turns out that I am left eye dominant. it went right to my left eye. I had to actually think about it to switch eyes and be able to do it to the other eye.
Huh.
Now I have to say that my my hands did sort of go towards the left eye, but I don't know if it was conditioning because we've been talking about the left
because
eye.
we were talking about it. Yeah.
Part of it could have been conditioning. Part of it because you knew what the purpose of it was.
Right. So
I think I'm blind. I went to my forehead after I knocked over my mic and pushed my hat down on my face.
Exactly. So, well, one thing I like about can go back to the caricatures. I still can't say that word. Is we've always talked about the need to always be drawing. Because we interviewed Will Terrell a couple weeks ago.
Who did you
I mentioned
interview?
Will a lot because he's a really good artist.
Wait, who was that? Who was it you were interviewing?
Will Terrell.
Right.
He's a comic book artist, Super Zeros, and some other stuff. Anyway, he's all over Twitter and the universe, the Twitterverse.
The Twitterverse.
But anyway, he was saying that you should always be drawing. He goes to Walmart or to public places and just sketches people.
Yeah.
And his art is really good. And that's one thing I just got to keep reminding myself to keep doing. And what I normally do is I will remind myself that, and then I won't do anything for weeks. So,
yeah. You should really carry a sketchbook with you everywhere. Anywhere where anytime you have a free spare moment for whatever reason, maybe you're waiting at the doctor's or, maybe you're waiting for somebody to come out of the store. That's usually when I'm doing it. That's when I draw. Or read, depending on my mood. But, you really should sketch as often as possible. You're at a restaurant waiting for food, sketch. I mean, especially if one of those cool restaurants that have their placemats are basically perfect drawing services.
Yeah.
Anytime we're at, a fast food joint and those paper ones that the kids get, that's perfect prime drawing stuff.
Yeah, or if you go to, Macaroni Grill.
Heck, they even give you the crayons.
Right. It's just a white piece of paper is the tablecloth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, then there was a restaurant we were at the New York City Hurl, which was the same thing. I think it was called the Pink Pony, and I drew a painting of one of the other people who were there right on the paper with one of my pencils I had there. And I think that was actually probably my best drawing I did all weekend.
Wow. Awesome.
So to get to the point where you can do this as quickly as you do and as accurately as you do, has there been some kind of conscious effort to relinquish control of things at the wall? Because me, for instance, when I draw, I get really too perfectionist about things, and I have to eventually just say, forget it, don't think about it.
Yeah, yes, and that's sort of one of my main purposes in speed painting in the first place. Part of it was warm-up, and part of it was to turn that part off, turn off the self-filter, because it takes me a while till I can loosen up. And it sometimes takes a little while to get into the zone, so to speak.
Yeah.
And creativity in general, I find, is very similar to sleep. It's not like you could just close your eyes, you're asleep, and you're in dreamland. It doesn't work that way. It works in phases. And you need time to get into that really creative, productive zone. It doesn't, most of the time, at least for me, doesn't happen right away.
Right.
And the real trick of it is to work on it and give yourself the time to get into that zone. My problem sometimes is that if I'm not getting there right away, I'll get frustrated and I'll just stop. Yeah. And I never or I'll get distracted and I'll be doing something else entirely. And I find it harder to get into that zone altogether.
Yeah.
When I first started doing these, some of them I was concentrating too much on, trying too hard, and it just wasn't working because I wasn't allowing my intuition to work.
Yeah.
I was second guessing myself, and I knew I had a growing following, and that I didn't think I deserved, and still kind of don't. And I'm like, oh great, all these people are following me. I have no freaking clue what the hell I'm doing. I'm gonna look like a complete idiot. eventually the real artists are going to get on this here, or eventually they'll find their way to Google Plus, and people realize what kind of hack I am. And that's still, I'm still fear that on a daily basis.
Yeah, I don't think you, as an artist, should get over that, because I'm still, like, I think I put on Twitter, like, this past week that I feel like a fraud, like, in everything I do. And what's insane about that is I'm a web guy, for the most part. I do, like, websites and web design. That's my job, my day job. And I always feel like when I have a project, I always feel like I'm not going to do very well. And I'm very conscious of that. And then I do fine, and I'm good at it, and I just gotta, I don't know.
Yeah, and I know for me, almost every endeavor I ever go work on has the ugly phase, where, it's at the beginning it might start looking okay, but then as I start working on it, it reaches that chaotic, ugly phase.
Yeah.
I think every painting, every drawing has to go through that phase. Because that's the phase where things are starting to gel. That's where the magic is actually happening. And if you don't get to that phase, I don't think you ever really completed the piece in the first place.
Yeah.
Because you never got to that magic spot. Because beforehand, while it's still looking all right, that's more technique. There's no magic there, and it's got to get to that ugly phase and push through it, and that's where things can be more magical. I mean, I hate using that word because it's like so less.
Right.
But I don't know what other word to describe it at the moment. I'll probably think of a billion of them later, but at the moment, that's the word that's popping into my pea brain.
Something that just clicks.
Right. It has to click. It has to get through that ugliness to get to the good stuff. Like, and a lot of times I'll get through there, or I won't even get to that phase, or I'll start getting through there and I'll be like, what the hell's going on? This thing is never going to pull through. It's just not going to work. What the hell am I doing? Right. And in some cases, because if I'm afraid of getting to that point, the drawing's done. It's lost. It's never going to work because I'm holding back. And if you're holding back, you're really not going to put forth something that's your best effort because you're holding back. I mean, and I think part of it's like the whole left brain, right brain thing. Mm-hmm. And I tend to be, in some cases, very left brain dominant, where my left, it wants it to be just perfect. And I think that's the part that, wants everything to be nice, neat, orderly. And it's the other part that wants to throw the spaghetti to the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
And that's the part that turns on during the chaos, because your mind will start putting connections together that the left brain won't have a freaking clue what the hell's going on. And that is what makes better art, in my opinion. It's when the other part of your brain takes over, and you no longer you're like watching what you're doing, but it's almost like an outer body experience. And I find the pieces I really like that I've done, I look at them and I'm like, it wasn't me. Like the pieces that I really like that I've done, I find it really weird to picture that I'm the one who even did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't feel like I did. Because since I am mostly left brain dominant, and I use those terms very loosely. I'm not going to pretend I'm a psychologist who knows what the fuck I'm talking about. In fact, I know we use both sides of our brains simultaneously. The whole left brain, right brain thing, I think, is a myth. But it's a useful analogy for these purposes. And so, since that part refuses to acknowledge that my skill level is even near good enough to build that kind of stuff out, especially because a lot of things that I really like, when I actually analyze it, it's like, what the hell, this is wrong, that's wrong, that's not correct, but it works.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's because humans as a whole need or like to see flaws. We like to see some sort of flaw in the work, or it won't look right. It'll look machine-made. It'll look fake.
That's true.
And not recognizing that can lead to trouble. Like I know a lot of times in CGI they go for ultra hyper realism and they end up in the there's a word for it and it's just escaped my mouth.
Uncanny Valley.
Yes, the Uncanny Valley. Exactly. I felt that way when I was watching Final Fantasy, that movie. Remember that one?
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, that was...
When I was watching that, first of all, the plotline sucked. I mean,
it did.
It was like, what does this have anything to do with Final Fantasy at all?
What does that have to do with anything at all? I mean, it was like, what the hell?
I'm like, that's sci-fi. Wasn't Final Fantasy a fantasy? I mean, I never really played the games, but wasn't it along the lines of, Dungeons and Dragons and all that genre? It was a fantasy, game.
Yeah, it was fantasy type.
Right. Yeah. And here they are with a sci-fi movie. I'm like, what? What? That has nothing to do with Final Fantasy. I did not understand the title at all. But that whole movie was in Uncanny Valley.
Oh, yeah.
Same with Polar Express. Polar Express gives me the damn creeps.
Yeah.
See, I like Polar Express. But the thing about Final Fantasy that kept making me come out of the reality of whatever the storyline they were trying to do is I was like, they have all this computer technology and they spent all this time and money and effort on trying to make one of these characters look like fucking Ben Affleck? Seriously? I mean, come on!
Well, I think my main problem with when I was watching Polar Express is that if you're going to go through that much trouble trying to make the animation look like a person, hire a frickin' person.
Right.
Yeah, true.
There was no reason for Polar Express not to be live action. It should have been a live action movie.
True.
Yeah.
With
CG effects in there. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for CG effects. It can be done very well and seamlessly. But I don't know. I'm kind of old school when it comes to that. Like, Yoda's a frickin' Muppet and should have stayed as a Muppet.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I
agree.
I was very annoyed when they took Yoda and made him a non-Muppet, and because especially for the close-ups. I mean, for the close-ups, the CG just didn't work. It was in Uncanny Valley. The eyes didn't look right. It just didn't have. It lacked the life, and it's pretty weird to say that it was lacking the life of a puppet. I mean,
right.
But I mean, Yoda, the original Yoda, was much more lifelike than the animated Yoda, and CG has its place. Obviously, you're not going to do those giant lightsaber battles with a Muppet, and nor should they. But for close-ups, yes, get the freaking Muppet out there. That's what they're for.
Well, I was telling my fiance the same thing a few months back. Is that, all the CGI stuff and everything is great and everything. But when I was a kid, I grew up in the '80s, and I was a teenager in the '80s, and what we had, we had Jim Henson's Muppets and all this stuff doing things, the Dark Crystal and the Never-Ending Story and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And even though you knew these characters weren't real, at least they were made of real thing, and so they took up real space, and the light hit them in a real way. And
they were tangible.
Yeah.
And see, CG has perfect application, like, for example, the space sequences in, like, all the Star Trek shows, like DS9 and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Those were perfect for CG. I mean, that worked. That was where it works, and that's what it's good at. And in limited applications, some character worked. I have no problem with animations that are CG. But there are some things that it's just not good at. There has to be a blend, because I'm a big animatronics fan, and there has to be a blend of them. And of course, more importantly than effects in general is storytelling. If your story sucks, no amount of good effects are going to save you anyway.
And Final Fantasy proved that.
Yeah. But apparently somebody wasn't getting that memo.
Well, I think plenty of people got the memo. It was just too late at that point. It was like somebody had kept pushing it through to the point it was like,
no.
We got to finish.
No. I meant in future films where the story sucked.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think Hollywood and businesses in general, they jump on bandwagons and trends and completely ignore what made the trend good in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
In most cases it was the uniqueness, and a lot of times you can't replicate success like that. You can to a little extent until the audience catches on that they're you're just screwing with them. You're just doing crap not because you believe in it, but because you thought it would sell well.
I feel that way with that new movie that's coming out. That I forget what it's about babies or something, or My Kids, whatever. But the tagline is, the actors that were in Bridesmaids, they're just as brilliant as they were in Bridesmaids. And I'm thinking, I don't know.
I didn't see Bridesmaids, so I can't really talk about it one way or the other. But
yeah, okay. but oh, I guess I'm the only one that liked it.
No,
I didn't see it. So I don't know. I'm not saying
it's a girl movie.
I don't know. I didn't see it.
But anyway, my point is,
I don't watch any movies.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Oh, what's wrong with you? No, I'm kidding.
Well, it's funny. I think a large part of the problem is that a lot of the movies I would watch aren't exactly kin-appropriate.
Yeah, that's true.
And when the kids aren't around, I'm on the freaking computer because then it's peace and quiet time.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't have as much time as I used to, or not. It's not actually the amount of time I have really hasn't changed much. Is what I'm doing with it that's changed.
Absolutely.
So now I'm far more likely to watch a YouTube video than I am a movie, regardless of length. Because a lot of times, if I have that time to watch visual entertainment of any form, I'm usually watching a tutorial on YouTube. I watch those constantly. And I'm so happy that my TV finally has a YouTube app on it.
Nice.
Oh, that's cool.
Because I have a Vizio TV, so it's had Vizio apps, and it's had a video app since the beginning, but it was like really, really crappy one, which only played like the stupid version of videos, like the ones where like stupid people doing stupid things.
Yeah.
Which are okay in certain circumstances. It's not my cup of tea. But as far as channels with actually tutorials and good content, it just was non-existent. So I was very relieved that now I can watch YouTube videos on there on my widescreen television. That's awesome.
Wow.
Because there are several YouTube channels I do watch on a regular basis, mostly, almost exclusively art related. Or TED Talks. I love watching TED Talks.
Yeah, I like TED Talks a lot too.
TED Talks, Google Talks. A lot of times when I'm doing artwork, if I'm not hanging out in the background, I have either a Google Talk or a TED Talk or some. On occasion I'll be listening to music as well, but most of the time it's one or the other. Well, these days most of the time I'm just hanging out in the first place. But
well, it looks like I'm coming.
Yeah, it's coming along really well.
Thank you. Yeah, I like talking more than painting, so I'm not exactly.
So to get likenesses, because you got this speed paint for the people that can't see this later on. You got the likeness of Daryl pretty early in. Is there like a trick to getting the likenesses? What do you look for?
Well, first of all, you have to. You can't think of the head as a head. It's just a collection of shapes. Mm-hmm. One of the things that hurts people when they first start out is they think head, and when you're thinking of it in terms of a head, your brain automatically tells you where things are supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I go for exaggeration in the first place. So I look at head shape. So the first thing, that's why one of the reasons I do the background first is because if I was to start in the middle of it, I would get my placement most likely completely wrong. I've done that when I'm working on actual paper. Mm-hmm. I would do that all the time. I'd start someplace and then realize, oh crap, I started too high, started too low, or whatever. And I would run out of room on the paper, or for whatever reason, my spacing was way off. So now I start with the background. And the other reason is because I'm trying to establish head shape. Head shape is pretty important. Once you have the overall head shape, then it's easier to establish where on the head things go. And that alone goes a long way to establishing, likeness. For example, in this particular case, let me switch to a ridiculous color that I'm not going to use in the painting at all. See now, so the first thing, I notice is that this shape and this shape. So that's like, so I got that, narrowed that down, so I got those basic shapes there. It's like, all right, so now I got that basic shape. I could and I'll exaggerate it. I don't really exaggerate tremendously. I do to a certain extent, depending on the face and the person. Then I could determine where on that goes. Well, in this case, where those shapes meet, that's where the eyes happen to go.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's kind of, all right, well, how high is the nose closer to the chin or the eyes? And, once you get essential placement down, that goes a huge, long way towards likeness. And that's how, those minimalist artists can do it. Now, I'm not a minimalist artist. I've tried. I'm not good at that. I can't do it.
Yeah.
But I do know some people who are great. Within a couple lines, you can tell exactly who it's supposed to be. They're awesome. Some people can exaggerate up the wazoo, and they're perfect at it. They're awesome. There's this one guy, I'm going to completely mispronounce his name, but I think it's Chris Chua. I don't know. At some point, I'll probably share some of his work on Google+, because he does live caricatures at amusement park. Don't know which one off the top of my head. But they are so off the wall, insane, but somehow maintain likeness. They're parts are detached. It's a lot of thrown in there. And it's very, very bizarre. But somehow he maintains likeness. I don't pretend to know how. It's magic. It's awesome. Definitely one of the artists I'd like to be painted by at some point.
Yeah, I got a book from I got a book of Joe Bloom stuff. I don't know if, and it was the Rejects book.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. And some of the stuff in there are pretty crazy, and it's really nice.
Okay, that was just showing off right there. That was uncalled for. And,
he happened to have a special, and when I was speaking of YouTube channels, he's definitely one of the ones who I've learned a whole lot on. Congratulations, Moonbot Studios, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that book, and I love all his YouTube videos. Joe Bloom is awesome. And
yeah, he's great.
God, how many times are we going to say the word awesome?
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Oh, my God. I'm like, need a better vocabulary.
Yeah, I say awesome way too much.
It's like, holy crap. I'm just catching myself and I'm like, oh, man, I've been saying that a lot this episode. All right, new drinking game, people. Every time I say awesome, take a shot. This thing will be entertaining in no time.
I started back in the beginning, so.
But, yeah, and the funny story about that one that's in that book, my wife had, saw that he was having some special or whatnot, so she decided she was getting me the book for, I want to say my birthday. And so he had some special where if you had ordered it, you can get a drawing on the inside cover. And he accidentally screwed up the order. What happened was I had gotten a copy of the book with a little doodle in the corner of himself, actually. And I'm like, I wrote him a letter because, I had contacted him before because at the time we were both members of the International Society of Caricature Artists, which sadly I couldn't afford to keep up with my membership, although now that I'm making money, I might rejoin. It's a definitely worthwhile organization. But anyway, I had wrote him, and I'm like, I'm kind of confused because weren't you supposed to be, the implication was you were going to be doing a drawing with me. My wife had sent you, so it was kind of confusing. And he's like, he apologized profusely, and he sent me a second copy of the book.
Oh, nice.
With that drawing in there. And he told me to just keep the other one and give it away or, do whatever with it, which I did. And then I happened to meet him at the New York Comic Convention later that year. I want to say it was later that year. Incidentally, the same one I bought this Wacom Cintiq at. And so I do have another caricature, which I had him draw live on the spot. Now that one, I wish I had gotten the under sketch That was stupid on my part for not asking for that, because he does a quick under sketch to get like the basic shapes down,
Mm-hmm.
and then on the then on the top sheet is where he puts the painting itself or the drawing itself. I wish I had gotten was smart enough to ask for the under sketch, because I probably could have learned a shitload just from studying that.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, he is a true master of the art form.
Oh yeah, he's very good. He yeah, in that book and other things that I've seen on his website, he does some really bizarre, pushing the limits of like you're talking about, the likenesses and everything, but they always seem to retain that likeness somehow, and I've always envied people that can do that, because when I draw the likenesses, I've already gotten to the point where I don't even expect myself to get likenesses, so I just draw whatever. But yeah, likenesses have always been one of those things that have escaped me.
Right.
Although I think that your character, Thomas, that you've developed over the years, looks like you. And maybe I'm conditioned to see you in it, but I think it looks like you. So.
Yeah, there's parts of it I think that looks like me too, and maybe the shape of the head and everything like Cliff's hand, and the body shape,
right,
and the hat.
Yeah, the hat definitely.
And that's about it. But yeah, everybody else pretty much. Well, my fiance met Gary. There is a real Gary, that's a real person that's in my comic, and she said that he looks a lot like the character in the comic. Everybody else pretty much does not. Everybody else, it's real life, because all my characters are based on real life people that I know, and none of them look like these people in the comic, because I've given up on that.
Your cat looks like your cat, I'm sure.
It looks like a cat.
Oh, okay.
My dog maybe, but you can't really mess up a Chihuahua. You just like do big ears and
There, I posted a link in the chat for the one I was talking about.
Awesome. Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, off the wall.
Yeah,
but
it does
somehow
look like
some sort of likeness.
Yeah.
And
it's like everything, the mouth, chin, nose, and eyes, and everything.
I mean, like that third one down on that page is just amazing. I don't understand how, it's just, I would never, ever in a bazillion years think of that. There's just no way. It's just way out there. And that's us.
I like that second one on there.
Yeah, it's just awesome. Out there it was again. I almost let it slip out.
Now the fourth one down, of course, everybody's going to have to, isn't watching this live, is going to have to look at the, I guess we could
we'll post it.
Make a link to it. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm gonna link to it in my profile.
Cool.
But
well, the fourth one down on this list looks pretty good too.
Yeah,
looks a lot like them. Man, these are good.
And it's weird because I'm looking at that, and even some of the exaggeration choices I don't like. The guy with the long neck there. I'm looking at that, and that forehead, he almost makes his forehead disappear.
Yeah, he does.
Which is weird because that's me. I'd probably be accentuating that because he has that interesting shaped forehead in my view. But it works. It looks like it does, and it's just magical. And I don't understand. I'm not even going to pretend to understand. That's something I could not do.
Now, see, this is another one of those instances where we were talking earlier, where you just kind of let go of going, well, this is what this looks like, that was it, and just draw really crazy.
You have to. You have to know that it's the sum total that matters. It's the forest, not the trees. And so yeah, the total package. Because if you look at it individually, it's like, what? That feature looks what? It just yet it adds up, and it does.
Well, this one that he's done of the couple together in one picture, that's
oh yeah, it's great the way he does that.
Yeah,
I've seen him
in the Dare.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, that is insane.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And yet it looks like the subject. I don't.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I wish I had that. You know, there are times I really wish I knew how to exaggerate up the wazoo and have it work for me.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not really what I do. What I do is more like an enhanced portrait than anything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do. You know, because we generally remember in caricature anyway. That's just the way our minds work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we don't remember every detail about everybody. We think about what is the thing that makes them them. I mean, what's the more unique feature? When you're describing somebody, it's not like you describe in great detail. You're like, oh, he was the big tall guy, or, you know, the one with the long neck.
Yeah.
Skin with eczema.
Right, exactly. You know, the one with the bazillion freckles, the ones with the constellations on their faces. You know, like, you know, the one with the really rich red head, or the one with, you know, the purple hair, or whatever the case may be. That's how we describe people, because it's easier to differentiate between the bazillion other people out there.
That's true.
And in this field, when you're trying to capture likeness, that's, you know, like, think of how you would describe the person to somebody else.
Yeah.
Focus on that, because that's what's, you know, you're already saying, hey, that's what's important about this person. Well, you know, important visually in this case, not like important.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, but the problem is that a lot of people's self-image conflicts with their, you know, image.
Right.
You know, their physical attributes. And a lot of people become very self-conscious about the things that make them unique.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a downright shame, because that's what separates you from the bazillion other people out there. I mean, you really shouldn't be ashamed of it at all. I mean, unless you're really doing something to yourself dramatically, and an action you're ashamed of, like, you know. But if you're not really hurting yourself in any way, shape, or form, and that's just the way you are, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, and that's you. Don't be ashamed of it, man. Yeah. That's awesome. There we go again. Damn awesome.
Well,
so when you go to get a caricature done, especially if you're getting a caricature done, we're going to zero in on that, because that's what we do in order to achieve. If say you're big and you don't want to be portrayed as big, don't get a freaking caricature done. In fact, I would say don't get a likeness done at all. Because if you're that self-conscious, you're going to be setting yourself up for misery. Because you're not going to be happy with the result, or the artist isn't going to necessarily be happy with the result. It's going to be one or the other, because in order for an artist whose purpose is to capture likeness, if you're hamstringing them like that, you can't expect good results. It's not going to look like you, and at best, it's going to look like some fantasy version you might have of yourself. But in that case, just contract them to do a fantasy drawing in the first place. It doesn't even need to be you.
Yeah.
It's not going to be you.
Most times when I have an artist draw me, I'm shirtless and muscular, and my head's a little bit skinnier, and I'm on a white horse.
Drizzling butter on your naked chest.
On my naked chest. But, I don't want to go too crazy.
Damn it, I was drawing... the last time, I didn't know it was supposed to be your chest you were drizzling it over.
Oh yeah.
I got to change it.
That's the mistake. For everyone not seeing this, it's drizzling over somebody else's, which is kind of weird, but no.
That's not what I ordered.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've never got a caricature done of myself at like theme parks or anything like that, because I generally couldn't afford them at the time, because I'd already blown all of the money that I had anyway.
Truthfully, I myself never have either. The only time, I've had at local events, like when I was younger, my mom had bought us some, and then when I was an adult, I had the one done by Joe Bloom, but. Other than that, when I was at theme parks, I never really had them done, for the simple reason I didn't want to carry the damn things around.
Yeah, that's true.
That was one of the main reasons. I don't want to be paying for a kick-ass piece of artwork and then have to carry it around the rest of the day. I don't know. I suppose you could leave it there and pick it up at the end of the day. I never bothered to ask because I'm kind of shy. But that's what I would have wanted to do. I would have wanted to pick it up later. It's like, I don't want to carry this the rest of the day. I might ruin it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why even when I got it done at the comic convention, it was the last thing I did. Just for that exact reason. I didn't want to have to carry it around. One of the cool things about what I do is that you don't need to carry this around because you don't have a physical copy of it now at all. You can print it out whenever the hell you want, do whatever you want with it after the fact, but in the meantime, it's in the virtual realm.
So when you do these caricatures for people, whether it's for money or otherwise, do you just supply the digital version, or do you sometimes print them out?
On occasion, I do print them out. Like for the Kickstarter backers, there was some that I printed out and shipped them. But really, I think you're better off just getting the digital version of these than printing them out yourself, because it just saves time and effort. I'm all about lean thinking, you know.
Yeah.
To bring up some business terminology here. I'm a firm believer in lean thinking, and that's just more expedient, more efficient. Really, the only benefit in me printing it out and for that is if you wanted my tangible signature on top of it. That'd be really. I mean. For the Kickstarter backers, though, it wasn't the only thing they were getting. They got actual, real medium drawings as well. So,
cool.
So I shipped them together.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think printing is much better off done locally. That's one of the reasons that even for the fully rendered ones, I normally don't have them printed out. I don't print and send because I find it better for you to just find a print shop that you like.
Right.
It's more likely to be better guarantee of it being quality product if you're getting it done locally rather than me getting it done, shipped, and hope it works okay. Because then you're paid. Because then you got to pay for shipping and all that. It's more expensive. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's going to cost you more money if I have to print it out and then protect it and then ship it. Already printed it. From a lean standpoint, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, do you ever come across anybody that is kind of disappointed in the fact that it's not necessarily in a tangible form?
Not usually, because usually the ones who have ordered it have specifically ordered it in this medium where they can get it printed out.
Mm-hmm.
So not normally, because the ones who want it in tangible form would have been purchasing a tangible thing, because I said I do colored pencil and charcoal and graphite.
Right.
Although I'm kind of moving away from that. That's why I really advertise it much. I'll do it if somebody asks for it, but that's going to cost a lot more money because it's harder.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more time consuming, kind of harder to do. It's just completely different and more space taking up. Like this I could do while I'm chatting or whatnot, and it doesn't really, there's no setup time. I have my computer set up all the time, so it's, from that standpoint, it's not really that difficult. There's as opposed to doing pencil work or colored pencil work there, I mean, if I screw it up, then I have to restart the whole thing over again, and it's just a whole nother ball game, and that's why I'd be charging more for that, really, and really actually getting less. You're getting the tangible piece of artwork, which in itself does have value. I'm not going to devalue it, but you really only have that. Whereas this, because I don't give a crap what you do with it after you buy it. As long as it's for non-commercial use, unless you're specifically buying it for commercial use.
Yeah.
You could print it out. You can make copies. You can send it to your friends. You could use it for your avatar across all the social medias or whatever. It doesn't matter to me because, and the more you're spreading it, the more you're spreading my name anyway.
Yeah.
So from that standpoint, I don't care what you do with it afterwards, and so therefore you could print it out a couple times, whatever. You get more use out of it. Plus, if you screw it, if it gets lost in a fire or whatever, the digital image is still there. I mean, it's just reprinted. And since I'm not so concerned about long-term, the long-term value of the product, because I don't think like that. So it's not like I'm worried about it being archival. It will be around forever. It's freaking digital. So, but as far as the tangible medium, I'm not worried about its value increasing due to its rarity. It's just not a concern of mine. I just don't care. So if I was in the old world collector market, that's a completely different story. It's like, oh my God, it's digital. It can be printed a bazillion times. It's not going to be worth this much. I'm like, what the hell do I care?
Right.
It's just not a concern of mine. I don't care.
Well, in 1,000 years, when they find these images on a CD,
they'll be like, these people look really weird.
Yeah.
But not as weird as these people over here. Their heads are shaped like bodies. What's going on?
Right. Well, what I'm hoping to do, and if you allow me to, I'll print it. I don't know if you see behind me, but I have all these little prints that I got from Comic-Con.
Feel free to print it out. What Comic-Con do you go to, by the way?
There's the Phoenix Comic-Con, Phoenix, Arizona.
Gotcha.
Because that's where I'm at. This year, it's a little up in the air if I'm going or not. The problem is it's gotten really big, and not that that's necessarily a problem, but like you said, like you're introverted, and I'm kind of the same. So when there's more people, it's just like, all right, more people I have to talk to.
Right.
It's weird.
Yeah, like the last time I went to, I missed this year, unfortunately. I had wanted to go, well, I mean, now it was last year, it was in the fall, but I unfortunately didn't get a chance to go to the New York one this time. But I remember the last time I did, it was a combination between the comic convention and a anime convention. So I mean, there were parts and times where it was so ridiculously crowded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the time it was all right, depending on which section you were in. But there were times that were really, really crowded.
Yeah, and I've always thought that I would be better as an exhibitor. I'd have to get something to the people first, but
right, exactly.
That's
just it. I've wanted to exhibit there, but I don't know what to exhibit there. I don't really have, since a lot of the stuff I do is commission based.
You should set up a monitor.
I mean, now I probably could set up a Hangout booth, but in fact, Google, I think you guys should have a table there, and I think you should put me at your table there.
There you go.
And then I will pimp Google Plus to all the artist types.
Yeah.
That's a good idea, really.
Google.
It's a really good idea.
Get on that, Google.
Get on
that. We know you're listening.
We know you're listening.
Somebody's got to review these things.
Either now or in, or the archives when you go through and see the recordings.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna be paying attention. So set me up, send me to the comic convention, and I'll pimp Google Plus out the wazoo.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll support that. I'll support you doing that from afar. I'll be back here.
Well, since we broached the subject of comic conventions, it's getting to the point in my work where I'm going to need to start going to conventions and everything to get my name and whatnot out there. But I notice at conventions, people are always doing sketches and everything. And for some reason, I do not like for people to watch me when I'm drawing. It makes me really self-conscious and freaks me out a lot, and so I'm really kind of nervous about that aspect. That if and when I start setting up at conventions, I'm gonna have to deal with that. I'm gonna have to do that, and I'm gonna have to get over that.
Yeah.
When you do stuff in public,
not necessarily. You can be going to the conventions to show stuff you've already done. You don't necessarily have to be doing new stuff on the spot.
Yeah, but people come up and they always want to sketch and this and that, and and you don't want to really I personally don't want to flatly turn someone down saying, "No, I don't do sketches" or whatever.
Right.
And I was just knowing you do this public and everything. Did you ever have that anxiety like that?
Oh,
how did you get?
In fact, as you like I said earlier, it'd be towards the end phases of a drawing that I would be going out in public, because I'd rather them see the end phases, because there I'm on autopilot. When I'm finishing a painting or a colored pencil drawing, I'm on autopilot. I'm not thinking about what I'm doing at all. I'm just doing it. When I'm in the start of it, that's when my brain's in full gear, and that's when I'm paying a lot of attention to what the hell I'm doing, because that's where all the planning is.
Yeah.
That's where layout is, and where my brain's actively engaged, and it's the more stressful part for me, because I am, more actively engaged when I'm doing. I'm not just rendering, I'm designing, I'm thinking, and it's much more brain heavy, so to speak. So those phases, when I'm in that phase, I don't do that public at all. There's no way I could. If I have a clear idea of where I'm going, and I'm not just screwing around, I could do it, I'll sometimes do it here in a Hangout, but I'm kind of just screwing around. But if I'm like doing a serious piece, I don't generally do the opening phases, because since I don't know exactly where I'm going or what I'm doing, I don't like doing that publicly. I think it's strange.
Yeah.
And I can be very shy, and so usually it's much more like halfway or closer to being finished. But even then, I tend to work slower if I'm doing it in front of people, because at least if I'm paying any attention to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically what you're saying is, like, for instance, you started this one while we were watching and everything. So basically what you're saying is just don't think about it that much. Don't overthink it while you're doing it.
Like this one, I'm like really on autopilot. I'm paying attention to the conversation, not necessarily what I'm doing. I mean, I'm looking at what I'm doing, but I think if I was actually paying attention a little bit better, I probably would have been finished by now.
Yeah.
But since I'm kind of just doing this on autopilot, because I'm more talking, my hands moving, but I'm not like paying attention to it so much. It's kind of weird to say that, because so obviously I'm controlling it, but, or am I?
I think you have somebody like you that's under the table and that is controlling the mouse.
That's right.
And
That's
you just show up on camera and like, I'm a cool artist, and then this person that you
like right now I'm looking at this because since the picture I'm looking at as reference is kind of dark. And so the coloring, it's like a very muted palette. I need to bring some color into this. I need to lighten it up.
I should have done this.
Yeah, I got to make it pop. So hold on a second. Let me add a little, because it's a little on the muted side. So I'm going to try and bring up the contrast and color a little bit.
All right.
At a certain point, you got to go off model.
Right.
Exactly.
Because if you don't, really, what's the point? Because then you just might as well just use the photograph in the first place.
All right.
So this is where the art part comes in. But I'm noticing it's far too desaturated. There's like no color at all.
But to be fair, that's how I am in real life. I'm very desaturated. No.
Well, I'm noticing that you're adding, to change the color and the saturation and all that, you're adding colors in like you would do it when you're actually painting with paint on a canvas.
Yeah, it's weird because I've never actually, until after I started doing traditional painting sort of after I did real paint, after I did digital painting. So, but most of the tutorials that I've watched and whatnot were from people who painted traditionally first.
Oh, I see.
So since I was sort of almost mimicking their style, sort of, or I should say was influenced heavily from, people whose videos I've watched.
Mm-hmm.
Since a lot of them started from a more traditional background, I approach it sort of from a more traditional background, and I find the results to be a little bit better than when I was just floundering around on my own without knowing, having much of a clue of what I'm doing. Originally when I first started, I think I would, for digital painting, at one point I ended up, I would like crosshatch the whole drawing, and then I'd use like the smudge tool to smooth everything together, and it became an ugly mess. I mean, I could pull it out. I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you.
Oh, no, that's fine.
What were you saying?
What I was gonna say was I've seen a lot of people when you'll get to the stage that you're at, which is almost what looks like to be almost finished.
Yeah.
And then they want to do some different things with the color, like you were talking about, and they'll use the Photoshop sliders and stuff, and bump things up and saturate this, and use Photoshop itself
Yeah.
To already bring out what they've got there. I don't see a whole lot of people doing what you're doing here, where you're adding it in as if you're doing it traditional.
Yeah, you will actually, towards the end, one of the last few things I do before I save the file is I'll copy the entire layer, and then I'll do a levels adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I will do a adjustment using the sliders or whatnot, but usually not until I'm happy with the way it is in the first place, and then it's just like an added enhancement.
Right.
Where I'd rather have more control over than just what the sliders are doing.
Sure.
I mean, the sliders definitely have their use in that. I'm definitely not one of those people who's like, oh my god, you're using the Photoshop. Oh my god, using the medium for what it does? Wow. I mean, some people are so, I don't know, I think some people get their panties in a bunch about the stupidest things, really. I mean, it's software. It's a tool. It's a freaking tool. It doesn't do anything on its own. It has, if you don't touch it, it doesn't do anything.
Right.
There's this huge stigma about using the tool as a freaking tool. I mean, it's a tool. That's what it does. It has. Yeah. There's a reason all those sliders are there. However, there's a difference between, just running a bunch of filters on a picture and, without any knowledge of what you're doing.
Right.
And it's really the mind behind the tool that's important, not the tool in and of itself. So yeah, I mean, you could go through there and tweak all the tools till your heart's content, and you may or may not come up with something good. But if you didn't know why it was good, I mean, if you could tell the difference between what it was doing and why it was doing it, or any of that other stuff, you're really only cheating yourself. It depends on your purpose in making the art in the first place.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, you could easily sell stuff and dupe the public, but if your goal is to make money, there's always people who can dupe the public. But if your goal is to learn how to do something, then you're cheating yourself.
Absolutely. Well, I think we've crossed over the 2-hour mark, so you're going to have to download the video.
No! Curses! Well, really, all it would be is to cut off that first, 20 minutes when we weren't, talking, or it wasn't posted anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, see, it's because I'm not paying any attention to what I'm doing.
We're just keeping you distracted, that's all.
No, it's not that. Well, that's the whole purpose of me being here.
Right.
That's the whole purpose of having a conversation in the first place. I can ramble on endlessly.
That's good, because so can we.
I'm actually in the middle of working on a book, which is essentially me rambling on endlessly.
Oh, cool. Oh, yes, I remember you mentioned that on Google+, and I said it was something about rabid squirrels or something.
Yes, rabid squirrels. No, there'll be no rabid squirrels harmed in the making of this production.
Oh, okay.
Nope. After all, they're my writing staff. I can't harm them.
That's true.
No, it'll be an unbusiness business book.
Awesome.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's what people need, actually.
Well, see, I myself, see, if I wrote an actual business book, who the hell would buy it? I have no credentials. I mean, Ryan, realistically, a business book by him, what the hell does he know about business? He's, despite the fact that I work for a major business, but, I don't work in any in any capacity that would lend any credentials to that, but so I can't, I don't have the credentials to write an actual business book, but I can write a non-business book. I can write an unbusiness book. It'd be to business books what Discworld is to fantasy, what Hitchhiker's Guide is to sci-fi, what The Daily Show is to news.
Oh, so it's based in reality.
It'll be dripping in sarcasm and.
Well, those are the best kind of books because I'm very sarcastic.
Me too. I'm extremely sarcastic. I love parody. I love that kind of humor. But yeah, I usually find the greatest wisdom in those means.
Yeah, it's true.
So when's this book coming out?
I'm hoping to finish it within the month.
Oh, really?
Considering I just started it the other day.
Wow.
I mean, literally, I just, 2 days ago, I'm like, well, it's weird, because I'm in the middle of reading a book right now.
Mm.
And as I'm reading it, I'm thinking to myself, a lot of the stuff in the book itself, and it's a business book, a lot of the stuff, I've had the exact same arguments, because it's pushing for, businesses to use social media. It's like, if you're not using social media, you're freaking retarded.
Yeah.
And, but you have to actually mean it. It goes back to what we were saying earlier about authenticity, because you can't just slap it on there. It's like, it's like that old study that shows that, and I'm probably completely screwing this up, but that study that shows that waitresses who put smiley faces on their checks get bigger tips. Right, but not because they put the smiley face there, just because their personality is the type that would put a smiley face there, and the type who would do that is more likely to give better customer service.
Yeah.
Which in turn is more likely to get better tips. It's like somebody who's going to still give shitty customer service, slap a smiley face on there, and hope for a big tip. Not get a big tip and wonder what the hell happened. And I see that kind of stuff happening a lot. It's just inauthentic. But anyway, I've been trying to convince the people where I work to get on Google Plus, because I think I think it's a great platform to interface with your customers, with the public, and just be generally open. And as I'm reading this book, which is The Thank You Economy by Gary Vaynerchuk, I'm reading it, and I'm like, holy crap, I just used this argument. I mean, it was almost like word for word from an email I had just sent out the other week before I even heard of this book. And it was just like, wait a second, you know what? I was so in tune and in line with the message, so much so that, like I said, I was using almost the same verbiage to make the exact same argument. I'm like, well, wait a second. I could have written this book. Shit. Why would I write a book? It's like, for many years now, I've had a blog on the internal servers at my job, but it was all internal, and it's a very candid look at business and that business in specific, which I'm not going to bother getting into here. But but it resonated with a lot of people around the world who work for my company, because it is, ground floor, very candid view. And I'm going to be applying some of those same principles to the book that I'm writing. It will be pretty candid. It's my opinion. I make no clear. It's very clear. It's my opinion. I don't base it in fact one way or the other, because what are facts anyway? But because that involves research. Who the hell wants to do that? It's gut intuition, and a lot of it will be anecdotal information anyway. Like years ago, I predicted the demise of Boston Market. Back when I worked there and I was a teenager in high school. I knew exactly what they were doing wrong, except for I was a sarcastic jackass when I told them about it. I told them, this is what you're doing wrong. You're going to fail. Slap up the arches now. You don't know the singular joy I had when I found out years later they were bought out by McDonald's. Because, those were my exact words. If you keep going down this path, slap up the arches now. So when that happened to me now, and so I'm going to be writing an unbusiness business book.
So is it going to be digital, or is it going to be print on demand, or?
Yeah, it's going to be a digital book. I'm probably going to go using. I'm thinking I'm just going to go the Amazon route. Yeah, that's probably the route I'll be going. I'm not 100% positive yet till it's finished, but most likely it'll be, that. I'm not gonna bother with the print form.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the most likely route of I'll be going. I do have a title for the book.
Oh, what is it?
And I have some of the stuff written. The title, I don't want to screw this up, is, let me see if I can remember it correctly. It's kind of long. All right. The title, as it stands now, hold on a second. I was just looking at my stream and realizing exactly how much I was. Somebody just plus screwed the hell out of me. Hold on a minute. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? I just got a bunch of notifications. What's happening? Is somebody commenting on this stream? No, nobody does that at all. Actually, I don't know if anyone's still watching this, but here, hold on a second. I did write down the title. I don't want to screw it up. Here it is. The title is Read This Now, and 42 other blurbs about this book. One man's ramblings about life, the universe, and everything.
Very nice.
Nice.
So yeah, it'll be a semi-serious, semi-satirical, a lot of dark, twisted sense of humor stuff. A lot of it will be anecdotal. But yeah, the topics will vary, a little bit. Some of it will have to do with the parenting. Some of it will have to do with business. It'll have to do with various different subjects.
Cool.
But yeah, if you don't crack a smile at least during part of it, you're doing it wrong. Or I'm doing it wrong, rather.
Yeah. You're not reading...
you're not reading it right! You're using the book wrong! You're supposed to smack your funny bone! But, so it's definitely going to be lighthearted, darkly sarcastic in some parts, because that's just my nature. Yeah, I'm going to bring this drawing to a close because I've been spending way too long on the speed painting. For speed painting.
We're kind of extending our thing.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm about to have to wrap it up.
Me too. I just looked at the time and I'm like, holy crap, what's going on? What?
Chances are what I'm going to do is I'll probably pare this down on the audio version, and then we'll just leave the video as the 4-hour extravaganza as it is.
The 4-hour giant extravaganza. No, and it's funny because I know damn well nobody's watching the full video. I can't picture anybody going through. Holy crap, a 3-hour video of people rambling on.
Well, they probably do like I do. When I come across a video that's over 2 minutes long, I'll like run my mouse over the timeline and see if there's like little pictures that pop up that show me what's going on in the different timeline.
Right,
so I'll see something that I think might be interesting, which generally is boobs, and then I'll click on that part of the video and it'll go straight there.
Yeah.
So it's probably what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or what we could do, and of course, if you're still listening, this doesn't matter to you at all, but we could just, we'll do a speed painting of your speed painting. So it's like a super speed painting.
Which reminds me, I bought the complete wrong video recording software for my computer. I had bought, what the hell is the name of it? Damn it, Camtasia.
Uh-huh.
I should have bought ScreenFlow. Because Camtasia for the Mac is not the same as Camtasia for PC.
Oh, really?
Like a lot of the videos I have seen, art tutorial videos and whatnot, were all done in Camtasia Studio for PC. I didn't realize it wasn't the same product at all.
Oh.
So there's some things that you can't do in Camtasia for Mac. Like I can't speed up video in it. It's like, what? That isn't that basic video editing, standardness?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just basic. Why the hell can't I speed up the goddamn video? Yeah. No, I have to import it to iMovie, and that takes forever, and then re-import it. It's like, what the hell? That's way too much work. Yeah, so the recording of it's fine. It records perfectly. There's nothing wrong with the recording itself. I just, the main thing I wanted to do it for was to speed things up, and I can't. And it's frustrating to no end.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to do that in, the Windows Movie Maker thing. And for the longest time, I couldn't find the little thing that sped it up in the in the latest version. So, but I found it.
But so that was a little bit of buyer's remorse there. That was my own stupidity. I didn't do enough research into what I was buying. So I'm not blaming them or anything. I mean, it was just it was a known issue. I've seen in their forums after the fact. I saw in their forums complaining that they don't have that as a standard feature yet. Right. Had I was smart enough to do my research before buying. Caveat emptor, my friend.
But you've already said that you don't really do research because of your credentials and stuff. So.
Right, yeah, research.
Yeah,
what the hell. As soon as I train my monkeys up, they're going to do my research for me. What's that?
That's right.
All
right.
Yeah, so, I don't know. So that was a buy sale on my part.
Yeah.
So, I haven't yet, but I'm going to be getting ScreenFlow, so I can do that.
All right.
Because I do want to start recording, like, my own tutorials or whatnot, because people do ask.
Yeah, I think that'd be very useful. So.
I mean, don't ask me why they're asking me for tutorials, but just do search, you'll find something way better than anything I'm going to produce. But
you're the master at this.
Yeah. One
No.
word for it.
I
am a hack. Since no one's watching this anymore, or at least I'm reasonably sure no one's watching this anymore, I can say that. I'm a hack, people. I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, you're the best hack. No. All right, well, I guess we'll
all right, I am done with this. Let me flatten it, sign it, and we're good.
Sweet. Awesome. And you'll send it to me, right?
Yeah, well, I'm going to...
Email? I'll send you my email.
Yeah, I'll send it via email. I'm also going to post it.
Cool.
You will be posted to the album.
Because I have a really nice printer, and I'm been jonesing to print something nice off of it. And since
in that case, they would have done something nice. The hell, wait.
Oh no, this is perfect. This is great. Plus, it's me. So, and if our listeners know, it's all about me.
That's right.
Well, you've said it before, and I'll concur. It's all about Daryl.
It is.
My name is on the marquee. Oh, wait, no.
All right, now let me
Just kidding.
get rid of this here screen sharing. Go back to my camera, which I'm not.
I was giving some...
Anybody still watching? Well, people,
some,
if any of you are still watching, maybe sometime this weekend you'll see me finish this puppy.
Oh, yeah. That looks sweet.
Maybe.
A zombie pirate. What'd you call it?
It is a zombie pirate T-Rex.
There you go.
Nice. So, outside of Google Plus, do you have a website or?
Well, I have a URL, but not an actual website. It's just going to bring you to my Google Plus page anyway. But for anybody who's looking for my Google Plus page and doesn't want to go through the trouble of looking for me, go to www.pluscliff.com, and that's spelling the word plus, PLUSCLIFF.com, and that'll bring you directly to my About page. Eventually, I do intend to put a real website there, but I'm lazy and a procrastinator, so I don't guarantee it'll ever actually happen. Because really, my website would be just redundant information from my Google Plus page anyway, but it's better to not all have your eggs in one basket.
That's true.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I've done the whole website thing several times in the past, and I was just never good at updating it or keeping in track of it, and because I am a procrastinator, and I get sidetracked very easily. I have a very, very big back burner.
Yeah, I think.
Don't we all?
Art. I haven't done anything meaningful in the last 2 months because of the back burner is.
I have so much stuff. Like there's one book that I've been wanting to finish up, and well, I should say start for a while now. Well, I have started. There's some drawings done for it, and that's Hell Hippo and Other Denizens of the Dark Dimensions, in which that squirrel that I have on my page is going to be for. I have the cover done, but that's a little else, because there's a lot of times my ideas far outstrip my skill set. and then I'll see some other, I make the mistake of looking at other people's work who I consider far, far, far superior to my own, and then for a little while, it all gets stuck while I'm like, crap, I need to get my skills up way higher than they are now. Like, I was recently got this book called Animals Real and Imagined.
Mm-hmm.
Great book. And I really love looking at it. It's awesome. Oh, there it is again, that word awesome. But yeah, this book right here. Animals Real and Imagined. And as I'm looking through it, I'm like, these are some kick-ass creatures. But not only are they kick-ass features, she has the musculature down, the skeletons down.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's like, I think that's so great that she knows enough about actual anatomy to put that together and make up a completely non-existent creature and make it look completely like it does have a skeleton, it does have musculature, because it takes a knowledge of anatomy I simply do not have, and I really should. I really need it. To aid in that, in my quest to become better at anatomy, I have this. So hopefully I will start getting a little bit better as I have time to study some more.
Very cool.
But yeah, it's always like a juggling of priorities between upping my skill set, doing current work, reading, because I love to read, writing, because I do write on occasion. And it's just this giant juggling act. And then there's family life and my actual other job. And it's just so much going on. But it's good. It's good. It's a good kind of busy.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Cliff, for indulging us.
Thank you.
No.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you for whoever's left in our audience.
Yes, any of you who are still watching this, they probably all stopped watching like an hour ago, and it's probably so far down on the stream nobody's paying any attention whatsoever.
Exactly.
It's one of those things, unless they started watching it from the beginning, or they were still watching it from the beginning, nobody's still watching this.
That's true. In fact, I'm not even watching this. I'm just...
I don't know if anybody's listening to this.
No.
If they are, come on, people, it's Friday night. Go out. Have fun.
Yeah.
There's probably like 3 other live, hangouts right now that are streaming. That are probably far, far more interesting than my drivel. Thankfully, these 2 are here keeping it interesting.
Yeah. That's it. No. We'll have to do Thomas. We'll have to get you on again, and Thomas will be the lucky victim next time.
Yes.
So, to be drawn.
Oh, speaking of which, I forgot to actually save this. I better save it before it crashes. I'm always paranoid that something is like going to, my computer's going to crash or something, and I won't be able to, and I won't save in time. I mean, usually, like, when I'm working on a fully rendered piece, I'll save frequently, but these I usually don't save until the end.
Yeah, I religiously do Control S on every single thing I do. Because I've lost work. And then once if I've worked on something that I really liked in Photoshop, and I've lost it, that's it. I will never do that again. I've given up. It's forever lost to history. So.
Oh, look at that. Oh wait, Josh is watching. Hi, Josh.
Right.
Why would I wish you weren't watching? Hi, Josh. See, so Josh is watching. So that's our 4th watcher of the evening.
And he's our most important watcher, really.
He is, because he's the most recent one to comment.
That's right.
Out of the only 2 comments. Which people?
We judge our audience by the most recent. Who's still left. So.
It's just you, Josh. Just you. Well, since this thing has gone on far too long for a hangout on air anyway.
Yeah, I don't know how big the video is going to be. What I can do
it's going to be long. It's going to be ridiculous. Josh is so cool. I'm going to invite him in here. We'll see if he wants to.
All right, here's my email.
Okay.
Send me the thing there. I can link up a Dropbox. Do you use Dropbox?
Dropbox for the image?
For the or for the video? Because I'd like to get a copy of the video.
Oh, for the video, yeah. Yeah, well, actually, it just auto-uploads to YouTube.
Oh, it does? Okay.
Yeah, that'll go right to YouTube.
There.
And then it's just a matter of me making it public. But it goes right to YouTube. It'll take like a day to compile or something like that.
So I guess we could just link to it.
Yeah, we'll just do that. And
Josh, welcome aboard!
Josh!
I was just thinking, now that Josh is in here, now we probably have nobody watching us because he was our watch.
Yeah. Now he's a part of the show.
As Josh the octopus or the guy? Oh, he's the guy.
Me.
What's up, Josh? How are you?
Good evening.
Good evening. Nice
Yes,
to join us.
Yeah, I have been listening most of the time.
Oh, very cool.
And so what did you think of the show so far? Because one of the things that's difficult about this is we have no clue who's watching or what the feedback is unless they happen to comment.
Well, that's well. In terms of that, one thing that one of the other Hangouts on air was saying is asking people to +1 the post.
Right. Yeah, I did that earlier, and that's why a few people did. That's why I concluded that 3 people were watching.
Yeah, but yeah, I do like the thoughts on your philosophy of art that was coming out of it.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I came up with that right on the fly, too, because, it's funny, growing up, people would ask me about, like, more of my thoughts when it came down to art, and I was more of a technician, like, learning technique about art, and I never gave any thought whatsoever about where my ideas came from or anything like that whatsoever. I would draw whatever the hell I felt like drawing. I didn't really need to clarify where. And it always baffled me, the people who had deep meaning to their drawings and their paintings, because I never had any of that. It was just like, this looks cool, and I'm going to draw it. But there was like no overarching theme or reasoning to it that I was consciously aware of. And it wasn't until much later that I started to dig deeper and try and figure out why I was doing what I was doing, other than the fact that I have no choice in the matter, really. I don't pretend that I do. I do it because I just do it. Like, I mean, I remember after one of the 8-hour-long marathon speed painting sessions, when I finally, stopped speed painting and I was just chit-chatting afterwards, after about 10 minutes, I looked down and realized I had picked up a pen and was continuing to draw people on a paper that happened to be there. I wasn't really thinking about it. I wasn't really, like, oh, hey, let's draw somebody. It's that I was doing it for 8 hours. I looked down and I kept doing it. And it was just natural. It was just what I do.
Yeah.
And there was no, and so, and I never knew how not to do it. It's like, so explaining it was kind of bizarre. It's like, there was no meaning. There was no theme. There's like, it's like, what are your deep thoughts about your breathing? It's what I do. I mean, it's like.
Yeah. Well, guys, unfortunately, it's a little after midnight here, so I'm going to have to boot off of here.
Well, it was a pleasure having you.
We
or in
enjoyed
the
it.
case of your podcast, it was a pleasure you having me.
That's right. Yep. It was.
Depending on which forum you people are paying attention to this in, depending.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. You are recording it, so technically it's your show.
The Hangout's mine.
But
You're hosting our podcast. That's
So you oddly have this.
Josh is the guest, so we'll put him on the spot.
That's right. So anyway, Josh, thanks for watching. I posted the link if you're interested in what we do. And yeah. All right. I'm gonna go as well. So.
Well, take care, and I'll have this posted momentarily onto the stream. Not the video, the speed painting.
Oh, okay. Great.
And I'll be able to grab the video tomorrow then sometime?
Yeah, tomorrow sometime, or it depends on if I'm going to pull it out down and edit it, because I think I want to take out because for like 10-15 minutes it wasn't, we weren't really like publicly streaming it yet, so I want to cut that beginning part out. So I might have to download it to iMovie and just crop it. Or I could probably do that in Camtasia. I don't know, depends.
Cool.
I don't pretend to know much about video editing. But damn it, next time I'm setting a timer to make sure we cut off before the 2 hour mark.
Yeah, that was just, that was the thing, is usually we have a little timer with our recording software.
Yeah.
The audio version we don't here, so.
See how unprofessional I am?
How dare you? No, I'm kidding. All right, guys. See you later. Thanks again. It was fun. So.
Thanks, Cliff. Talk to y'all later.
All right, later.